guys, welcome back to another episode of the Web3 Quick Bites, the podcast where we jam to the latest beats in the decentralized world and chat with some brilliant minds in the industry. I'm your host, Olabisi, and today we are going to solve the biggest problem most founders face. You know what? Before I get into this in detail, I want to start by creating an hypothetical startup. So let's say you are a founder with a perfect product. At least that's what you think, yeah? You have the perfect website, the perfect pitch deck, the perfect logo, and now you're ready to take over the world. There is just one tiny problem that's stopping you from taking over the world. Nobody cared. Nobody showed up. Nobody even knew you existed. Does that sound familiar? If you are an early stage founder, especially in Web3, I'm betting it does sound familiar, right? We all start at zero. I'm talking zero followers, zero users, zero traction. And that's exactly why most marketing advice completely fails early founders. Because most of this marketing advice out there, they assume you already have an audience. Nobody's talking about how to grow your audience from scratch. But not to worry, because if you're listening to this on this episode, I'm going to give you the only marketing plan that matters when absolutely no one knows who you are. The exact steps you need to go from zero to your first 1,000 through funds without spending a fortune or pretending to be something you are not. So, what do you say? Let's get right into it. But before we dive into what works, let's talk about what doesn't. See, the truth is, if you are an early stage founder, especially in Web3, you've probably heard advice like just create great content, run ads, hire KOLs, run contests, do an airdrop, or the most popular one that you hear, hire a PR firm. Here is the brutal, honest, harsh truth, and I'm going to give it to you as it is. None of these strategies work when you are starting from zero. Of course, I'm going to explain why. So let me explain why. Creating great content, in quotes, fails because no one sees it. You are shouting into the void. Running ads fails because you don't have product market fit yet. So you're basically wasting money driving people to something they don't want. And do you know why airdrops fail? Because you need an existing audience to airdrop to, and random token recipients rarely convert to actual users. Trying to get on podcast, it also fails because without credibility or results, top shows won't even book you. And trying to hire a PR firm, that's just you setting your money on fire. I mean, literally, because you have no story worth telling yet. Now you're wondering, so what does work when no one knows I exist? When no one knows your project exists? So what is going to work for me, Olabisi? This is the part where I introduce you to what I call the zero to hero marketing framework. Three simple priorities that will take you from complete obscurity, like I said before, to your first 1,000 through funds. Priority number one, which is personal branding that builds trust. You see, the first priority is counterintuitive, especially for technical founders. It is not about your product, no, it is about you. Yeah, I know you're probably thinking, oh, I didn't start this company to become an influencer. I want my product to speak for itself. It's a really good product. It's going to speak for itself. People are going to see it and they want to come on board instantly. Well, I get it. I felt the same way, right? And most founders, they feel the same way too. But I'll need you to wake up and get back into reality because in the early days, when your product is unproven, and your company is unknown, you are the only asset people can evaluate. Your personal brand is the bridge between total obscurity and your first true believers. Let me tell you about a founder I met last year. So she built a decentralized education platform that was genuinely innovative. It was really good. But after 6 months of pushing out product updates on X, on social media, to cricket, she was ready to give it all up because that can be demoralizing, right? But here is what she did differently that changed the whole trajectory of our project. Instead of just constantly tweeting about our product all the time, she started sharing her founder journey, the challenges of building in Web3, the technical hurdles she was overcoming, the lessons she was learning. And people find stories like that, they find it relatable. And let me tell you, she said within 3 months, she had over 5,000 followers on X and a wait list of 700 people for her product. It was exactly the same product no one cared about before. Can you see that? So, if you're listening to this and you would like to replicate our success, here is your roadmap for building a personal brand that creates trust. First step, I hope you have your pen and paper ready. The first step is you need to define your unique angle. Defining your unique angle, which is the first step. Then you ask yourself this question: what's the intersection of your expertise, your passion, and what the market needs? You see, the founder I just shared her story now. Her angle was she was a former Web2 education executive who was trying to build a more equitable future for learning. That's her own story. What is yours? I think when you answer this question, step one has been successfully completed. Then we move on to step two, which is showing your work in public. Everyone who has jumped on a mentorship meeting with me and I've had a call with me, I always tell them, show your work in public, build in public, and they will agree with me. People that have told us, they've been seeing traction, they've been getting traction. People have been following them, people are resonating with it, and people are following their journey as they are growing, as they are building in public and failing in public and learning in public as well. So, this is a way for you to document your journey. You're sharing your process. You're transparent about your wins and failures, like I mentioned earlier. When people see that, they tend to invest in you because at the end of the day, people invest in people they can relate to, and that is the honest truth. Which now brings us to the third step: create consistent touch points. When I say you should create consistent touch points, don't you Olabisi said I should be posting 10 times a day? No, it doesn't mean that. What that means is you showing up reliably where your potential users are, whether that's on Twitter, LinkedIn, maybe you're active on your community platform, Telegram or Discord, or any niche forums in your space, could be Reddit as well. So just show up. You don't have to be posting 10 times a day to get traction or to get people to notice you. Just show up reliably where you know your users are. If you know majority of your users, the bulk of your users are on X, by all means go all in on X. And if you are consistent with it, it is going to pay off for you in the long run. I spoke with a founder earlier this year who had mastered this approach. According to him, when he started, he forced himself to share one insight every day for 100 days. It's really hard to stay consistent on social media, but he forced himself to. So he wasn't making any promotional content. He was just sharing genuine lessons from building his product. And he said, Olabisi, by day 60, venture capitals were reaching out to him. By day 90, which is 3 months, he had his first users, none of whom came through traditional marketing. They came because they felt they had a connection to him. They came because they felt like they knew him. And while he was telling me this, I realized that the beauty of this approach is that it compounds over time. It's a flywheel. It's like a flywheel that starts painfully slow but picks up momentum with every authentic interaction, right? And most importantly, this doesn't even require a marketing budget. just consistency and authenticity. Which now brings me to priority number two, end trust through what? Through micro contributions. You see, the second priority is what I will call end trust through micro contributions. Here is the core insight. People trust those who have helped them, even in small ways. See, in the early days of building, you need trust more than you need users. Trust is the precursor to everything else. It is. And the fastest way to build trust is not to ask for something, it's to give something valuable without expectation of return. Let me make this sink in with a story. Let's call him Jack. Jack was building a DeFi protocol. Like most founders, his initial strategy was to tell everyone how amazing his protocol was. And do you know what the result of this was? Polite nods and zero traction. And so Jack had to change his approach completely, right? And so now, instead of talking about his protocol, what Jack did was Jack had to dedicate 30 minutes every morning to helping others in the DeFi space. So basically, what he did was he was answering technical questions on Telegram, in the Discord servers. He simplified complex concepts for newcomers and he connected people who could help each other. Within weeks, after Jack had implemented all this, people started messaging him. You're the alpha person from that Discord, right? Oh, I would love to check out what you're building. Do you see that? And most people think this is just going to happen after doing this for 2 days or for a week. You think people are just going to magically know you as that go-to person. No, that is not what I am saying. You have to, yeah, it has to compound over time, and you have to be consistent at it. If it still sounds confusing to you, let me break down how to implement the strategy. So first, you need to identify the communities where your potential users already gather. This could be subreddits, Twitter communities, or wherever they are. Then the second thing is you need to set aside a specific time each day, even 30 minutes, to add value without promoting yourself. Answer questions, provide resources if you can, make introductions. Then, third, be genuinely helpful, not strategically helpful. Because one thing you don't know is people can smell inauthenticity from a mile away, and that's not a good look for you. And lastly, like I said before, you have to be patient because this strategy works through consistent deposits in the trust bank, and it's never a one off transaction. And so I remember having a conversation with a community manager who are saying the strategy I just shared, transform early stage projects. And he said that, according to him, he said, the founders will succeed are the ones who become known as helpful resources before they are known as founders. By the time they mention their own projects, they've already proven they care about the community. And that's why people listen. That's what a community manager told me. And I realized that this approach is particularly powerful in Web3, where communities are everything and projects rise or fall on trust. Remember, in the early days, obscurity is a bigger problem than competition. Yes, because your goal is not to outmaneuver competitors, it's to matter to someone, anyone. Which now brings me to our third priority, which I'll call community first storytelling. Notice that I didn't say product storytelling, I said community first storytelling. The difference is crucial. See, let's be honest with ourselves. When no one knows who you are, talking about your product features is like reading a love poem to a stranger. You agree with me that that's awkward, right? And it's premature. And it definitely rarely leads to a second date. Instead, what you need to do is you need to tell a story that makes the community, not your product, the hero. You need to make your community, let me say that again. You need to tell a story that makes the community, your community, and not your product, the hero. Every great movement always begins with a compelling story, a narrative that explains not just what you are building, but why it matters, who it is for, and what future it enables. So I'm going to give you an example from a project that I worked on. I worked with this founder. She was trying to build a decentralized marketplace, and we wanted to help reshape our entire narrative. So what we did together was, instead of just talking about the technical yada 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 superiority of our platform, we crafted a story about the creators who will finally have ownership of their work. Our community wasn't rallying around smart contract architecture. That's boring. They were rallying around a future where creators could thrive without intermediaries taking most of the value. Did you see that? So we're talking about the people who were going to use the products and not about the product itself. So we crafted a narrative around that. And when I tell you that that was a successful project. So if you're listening to this and you want to adopt this, here is your framework for community first storytelling. Step one, you need to define the status quo, which is the problem that affects your community. Make it relatable. Hmm? Two, present the promised land, the future states where this problem is solved. Focus on how people will feel and not just what they will have. The third step is you need to position your project as the bridge between these two words, not as the hero, but as the guide or the tool that empowers the community to be the hero. Then step four, you need to invite early believers to join the journey, not just as users, but as co-creators of this future. See, I've spoken to a lot of people regarding this episode, and I'm just remembering previous conversations and recent conversations that I've had, which reminds me of a conversation I had with a narrative designer who works with Web3 projects. He said, Olabisi, the most successful early stage projects, they don't just sell a product, they sell a vision of belonging. They make early adopters feel like pioneers, not customers. When you are unknown, your best strategy is to make others feel known, right? And so this storytelling approach doesn't just help you find users, it helps you find the right users. The ones who share your values and vision, who will stick with you through the inevitable pivots and challenges. Because at the end of the day, these are the people who will become evangelists, who will literally carry your matter on their head. They are the ones who bring the others into the community. They are the ones who will give you honest feedback because they want you to succeed. Now, let's put everything together. Let's put it all together into a system that you can actually implement. And if you're a team of one with no, especially if you're a team of one with no marketing budget, as I hope you have your pen and paper ready, because I call this the 555 system. This system is designed specifically for early stage founders who are starting from ground zero. So every day, I want you to spend 5 minutes defining and refining your message. What's the one thing you want to be known for? And how are you articulating your vision? The second five is five specific contributions to communities where your potential users gather. Answer questions, provide resources, make introductions without promoting yourself. Then, five meaningful conversations with potential users or community members. Not pitches, oh, not surveys. I'm talking genuine conversations about their needs and challenges. You see, all this just requires 50 minutes daily. But you see the compound effect over 90 days? Is remarkable. Within 30 days, people start recognizing your name. Within 60 days, people start coming to you for insights. Within 90 days, you have your first true believers, people who are genuinely interested in what you're building. I want to emphasize something important and let you know that this is not a hack and neither is it a shortcut. Instead, it's a foundational approach to earning attention and trust when you're starting from zero. And you see, the best part is it scales with you. As your personal brand grows, as your community contributions as your community contributions compound, and as your storytelling resonates with more people, your marketing flywheel begins to spin faster and faster and faster. And that's when you can now start layering in more traditional marketing tactics because now you have an audience to market to. As I round off this episode, let me leave you with this. The greatest challenge for early stage founders is not competition, it's obscurity. Because let's be honest with ourselves, when no one knows who you are, no marketing tactic will work unless you have first built trust, added value, and told a story that makes people care. See, I have seen this approach transform founders from completely unknown to leading voices in their niche. Not through growth acts or marketing budgets, but through consistency, generosity, and authentic storytelling. So, if you are starting from zero, remember your personal brand is your bridge. Your contributions are your currency, and your story is your strategy. Because the path from zero to hero, it doesn't start with marketing your product, it starts with connecting to people. So, start today. Spend 5 minutes to refine your message, five contributions to your community, and five conversations with potential users. And 90 days from now, you will look back and realize you're no longer shouting into the void. You built something more valuable that any marketing campaign could buy because you now have a community that cares about what you have to say. And that wraps up today's episode of the Web3 Quick Bite podcast. So if you have any feedback or questions, please reach out on social media to at Web3 Quick Bites or send an email to web3quickbites@gmail.com. And if this episode resonated with you, don't forget to like, comment, and share this episode. See you on the next episode. Bye.